Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of the Talk That Talk Show with me, Barry Holmes. We are back on our customary Friday night edition of the Talk That Talk Show. I'm here to give you guys the 120th episode of the Talk That Talk Show. Shout out to my boy Dutch, who's listening in on our Facebook live stream. And, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Dutch because, Dutch is somebody that I'm, been really good friends with growing up most of my life. And, especially with Jeff, who just signed in on our Instagram live. Shout out to him. But, Dutch has been doing great work for us overseas, and, he's working in the military as a Navy guy, and, I appreciate the work that he's doing so much, and, I love seeing my friends, and especially, Dutch, who lived right down the block from me, and it's hard because, I haven't seen the guy in, it seems like almost a couple years now, and, it was something that I wanted to do, and, even overseas, my boy Dutch still finds a way to support with this Talk That Talk Show, whether it being with getting merch and, listening to the show. And I appreciate that so much. And, I had to send out his shirt to him. And, one of the things that I knew that I wanted to do was I wanted to put together a little care package for him and, just to show him and to let him know that, someone out there is thinking about him and that we do care about him, even though we haven't seen him in a long time. And, on the flip side, I've had people and I've had friends that have been in my life and have fallen out of my life based off of the fact of, you not being able to get in contact with them or, haven't, spoken to them in a long time. So you kind of fall out of contact. But, Dutch is one of those people that I really do appreciate in that, we could go, X amount of time without talking to each other, without that contact. And the bond is still there. And, I extend that out to everyone else out there that, if you have people out there that mean a lot to you, you got to hold on to those and those people that are standing with you and stand by you through, all times and through tough times and good times as well as bad times. And, along with Dutch, who's in here on our Facebook live stream, everybody knows, my right-hand man, the dude that's right next to me is my boy Jeff Farrell, and, he's been one of my best friends growing up since we were walking home from kids and I've just always enjoyed, spending time with him and his friendship. And the thing that, I appreciate with Jeff is that, whenever you need someone to talk to and you need a friend out there, he's always there to listen and give, reasonable advice and give you, he's like the voice of reason for me, and you got to, again, hold on to friends like that. And, there's a situation where, Jeffrey wasn't at his highest and, he had lost his grandfather and, rest in peace, Robert Slaughter. And, Jeff, he didn't ask me to, come to the funeral. He kind of had mentioned the funeral, and I knew that, he needed me there, and I wanted to be there. And this is what I told him before myself, is that, when you have friends out there, and especially ones that you don't really have to ask to help, or the people that don't, ask you for help, it's in those times of needs that, you got to be there for them. And I was just happy to be there for my friend Jeff, and, to see the amount of support that came out for his grandfather, it was truly captivating. And I say this because, when you first walk, when I first had driven up to the spot, they had the fire trucks lined down the block because he was the first black fire chief, and not a lot of people know that. And especially for me, growing up knowing the history of whatever they teach us in the history books or whatever, and I learned a lot at the service about just what black firefighters had to go through and just how crazy it was for them. And I learned that the first black firefighters to go on, they weren't even allowed on the trucks. They had to run behind the fire trucks to go put out fires. And how crazy is that? And in a time like back then where there wasn't many black firefighters, and people were putting broken light bulbs in his boots and urinating and shitting in his boots and just doing all types of crazy stuff to the people that are trying to help you and fight fires. It was just so inspiring to not only, see the effect that Jeffrey's grandfather had on not just his family and having that church filled, but just the fact of advancing black people in general as firefighters, man. And to see, I was at where in East Orange where they named a street after him, and to have the entire fire department be predominantly black, especially where in Edison where I live, I don't really know too many black firefighters. So, to see, the effect that Jeffrey's grandfather had, on so many different people, it was just such a important thing to be there for with Jeffrey, man. And I think that one of the things that I definitely took away from it, speaks not only to Jeffrey's grandfather's character, but the message that the minister was trying to give out to us. And it was definitely something that resonated with me. And one of the things that the minister had said at the service was that even in Jeffrey's grandfather's situation, it felt like a celebration of life. You know what I'm saying? Felt like we were just all out there, celebrating just the amount of advancement that Jeffrey's grandfather did for not only black people, but, firefighters in general. And, from that, it kind of spoke to what the minister said. Like, we celebrate, the life of people, and you also celebrate, obviously the passing of people. But, in between that, there's that dash mark. And, even though that dash might be this little symbol, but it literally, embodies so much. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you've done from your existence when you started to when you ended all gets, put down to this dash mark. And, kind of like the thing that he left with us was that, how do you want to live your dash? And, I took that to heart because at the end of the day, as I tell you guys each and every week, I try to come out and pour my heart, mind, and soul into this mic and try and make sense of this world each step that I take, man. And, from being there, it kind of just like, and being a part of just such a powerful service, it kind of just brought to light just how important, how we conduct our lives are, to see the amount of people supporting it and just talking about just, great stories and just of empowerment. That's the way that, anybody wants to live their life, man. And to see that, it was just so empowering, for me, not only as a black person, but just as someone that views themselves as a leader. Because, one of the things that they said is that, he never was kind of like looking for applause or anything like that. And, when you have that type of humbleness, it can be so inspiring to other people. And I also want to talk about, what happened there too was, I ran into Jeffrey's brother. And, this goes back to a statement that I had said, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where I said, you never know what or who could be watching you, or you never know, who could be listening into you, or observing what you're doing. So you always got to be on 100%. And, I was able to see Jeffrey's brother. I hadn't seen him in probably over a year. And the first thing that he said to me, at his grandfather's funeral was that, he was proud of me, man. And to hear that from him, and he's quoting, different things that I said in episodes and talking about his sons and, how proud he is of them and how they've been doing well with their endeavors and going through school and, building certain businesses of their own at the age that they're at. It was just so good to have that conversation with him and, just have that understanding of someone that, is listening to these episodes and spitting actual quotes that I had said, man. And I can't tell you how empowering that is to me because, plenty of people can come up to you on the street or plenty of people can say, oh, I love your show. Let me get a shirt, da-da-da. And all types of support is much appreciated. Don't get me wrong, guys. But it's a certain type of genuineness that comes with the support that makes that lasting image. And, he was telling me that, from the first couple of episodes that he listened to, the fluidity was, has increased for the episodes. And I kind of looked back on it myself and I was like, wow, man, like, he's really telling me, not only just telling me that he's listening to the show, but he's giving me like very great feedback, man. And, those are definitely conscious decisions and the things and the content that he talked about, which has been different from when he first started and keeps him coming back. That's the things, and those are the things that I work on continuously to make this show what it is and to keep you guys all coming back. So to get that validation from him and from hearing him say that, yo, I'm just so proud of what you're doing, man. And, your show is so awesome. And, I've been listening to, that episode. And one of the things that he also said was that he hadn't listened to the last 2 episodes. And he told me, I'm on Three-Headed Monster, but, whenever I'm, down and need something, I can just put the headphones on and catch up. And, that's the whole point of podcasting. And I was watching a show before, I think it's called Blackish or something. They were making a joke about the youngins, about the real world. And they were saying about how, those were the times where, if you missed a TV show, you had to wait all week to watch the next one. And I was thinking about it myself, like, damn, they're right. Like, the times have, truly changed. So to see, that change and be a part of that change where, things are all coming together for, the show and, all these different ventures that I've been going into, it just brings all that validation of what he said as far as, continue to push and that I see what you're doing and I appreciate you for what you're doing. And, from him saying that he didn't listen to the last 2, I reassured him, and this is what I tell everybody out there, whether you're listening on Facebook, Instagram, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But, the whole point of this podcasting thing is, even though you might not listen to me live on Facebook like Alvin Baptiste, or you might not listen live on Instagram like Benzie Brims, but the whole point of podcasting is to be able to listen to at your own leisure. And, even though I had all the different things that happened in the past couple weeks that, kind of took me off that regularly Friday scheduled programming, the one thing that stayed consistent is that each and every week, that you have an episode of this podcast. And when I looked at the numbers, I was like, well, shit, man, we did a episode on Sunday, and, I don't know how quick of a turnaround it's going to do for our numbers for an episode to come back right on Friday again. And to look at the numbers and see that in a short week, we still had over 100 people download last week's episode, man. That's huge, bro. And then to also, not only just with that, but to eclipse 19,000 downloads and get that much closer to that goal that we're trying to get to, it's so validating in the fact that, consistency pays off, man. To have over 400 people download this show in the last 7 days, it just speaks to the trust that you guys have in me to continue to come out here and deliver you all an episode. We have people like my boy Jump Out who just, signed in on our Instagram Live, who has a great podcast of his own. You'll follow him at jumpout_I.O. And also shout out to my boy Groovy Brims, who says I'm the legend. I appreciate him. I know you see me on with my cross-check hat, man. That's to be dropping at Hat Club tomorrow. But, it's a restock. So, I was just so happy to be able to get it myself. So, shout out to you, Groovy Brims, and good luck with trying to get your hats tomorrow. But, another thing that I wanted to talk about as far as, what we're doing and, again, on those same lines of like how you want to live your dash. And, I personally know that, with me living my dash, I want to stay as competitive as possible. And I know that, competition, it just runs through my blood, whether I started out at T-ball or, playing high school or college basketball. Shout out to Cody Fitness, who says yo on Instagram. But, that competition, that competitive nature just runs through my blood. And, that's kind of the thing, like when I graduated and, I wouldn't say couldn't play basketball, but couldn't play college basketball at the level that I wanted to play at. And, once, that was all said and done, I needed to find something else. And you guys know just how important bowling is to me. And, it's really grown on me as a great sport. And, the work that we've put in all summer and over the last regular season, it culminated in a way to this situation on Wednesday where, we've been battling, fighting, and we put ourselves in the position to potentially take first place. And we had to take all 7 points if we wanted to take first place in that Wednesday night league. And the very first game, it was a tough battle, but we wound up losing. So we kind of tried to rally the troops together, and I was like, what is it that we want to do, man? If we continue to lose, we're going to drop down to third place. And for you guys that don't know in bowling, the difference between first and third place was probably about $250 and $100-something per spot. So, there was a lot riding on the line in this last week of the season, and with us losing and not being able to get first place, it was one of those things where it's like, shit, the end result, the ultimate result that we wanted, we're not going to be able to get. So what are we going to do next? Are we going to cry about it? We're going to sit and just let these guys give it to us, pause, or are we going to go out there and still fight with some pride and get and act with a sense of urgency? And it came down to that second game where we were battling. I mean, it was one of those battles. My dad showed up, and other people from the different lanes were watching, and it was a big time matchup, man. And with so much riding on the line, it came down to the end, where on most nights on Wednesday during the regular season, that would be my father's job to go out there as the anchor and seal the deal. But here on Wednesday night in the summer league, this is my team. So, I had to hold the weight of the shoulders of the team. And, it came down to one of those things where I don't know if you've played sports or whatnot, but I know when I was playing at Central Ave as a kid, when I was playing at Lindenau, or all those different parks in Edison, Roosevelt, shout out to you if you went out to play at Roosevelt. I know you were at there, Alvin. But, everybody's done it where you've had the situation where you say 5, 4, 3, and you count down. You want to hit that game-winning shot because everybody dreams as an athlete to hit that game-winning shot to go out there and seal the deal. And my very first game as a freshman in basketball, I had the honor of making as my very first high school game. I made a game-winning shot. So
North Brunswick.
That clutchness has been in my blood, man, And the thing is, everything came down in that second game to the last frame, where I was in the 10th frame and I was going up against their best bowler. It was scratch, so it meant the game was tied, and it was pretty much a roll-off. Who was going to deliver and who wasn't. So, I came out and I got up to the line first, and I struck, man, and I knew that the job wasn't done yet, because if he would have made his spare and struck, and I didn't strike, and I would have been forced to make a spare. So, I put some pressure on him. He goes up there, throws a 9 count, so he doesn't strike. So I'm like, oh shit, I got this motherfucker. I got him, man. But it was that type of confidence where it was like, yo, you got to go out there and trust the work that you put in and go get it done. And I went out there, second shot, pure. And I tell you what, it was like the biggest elation I felt in my body to just, rise up and rise to the occasion, because I knew at that point, all I had to do was keep the third ball in the lanes and I would have shut him out and we got the dub. And I'll go over to how important that game was at the end of the story. But, we got the second game, so we got, pretty much the rejuvenated life. We're like, yo, we can do this, man. If we take this third game, we'll solidify second place. Even though we didn't get first place, we'll get this second place. We'll get this, man. This is gonna be awesome. So again, I don't know what it was in the water, man, but it was a huge battle that Wednesday night. And that last game, the third game, came down to the same situation. Game was tied up again. And I had all the confidence in the world, man. And and the first guy, he comes up and he strikes. So I'm like, man, I could do this shit. I know how to do this. I just won the game the second game. We could do this. And I came up and the shot, it was a beautiful shot, but it didn't fall my way. And that's the beauty of sports. You could go out there and do as best as you want and put out the best effort you can, but sometimes it just doesn't fall your way. And the guy came out, he wound up striking out on my ass, and it was the most devastating feeling to have the second game where you're going up so high and you take it from someone, and just take that win and just snatch it from them, and then to have that same situation happen to you in the reverse, which could have cost us hundreds of dollars, right? So, I was upset because I felt like I let the team down. My dad was trying to talk to me. I wasn't really trying to hear him because I'm that type of person where I just gotta blow it off, man. I gotta go off and get away for a little bit. And, it was tough, man. We all live for those situations, and I had a situation where, I had the outcome that I wanted, and I got it. And when it came down to doing it just one more time, it just didn't work out. And, I took that time, I relaxed, came back in the bowling alley, and come to find out, the fourth place team that was bowling the third place team took one game. And that one game wound up being the difference in us getting second place, even though we lost 5-2. Now, I tell you this story all to say that, I could have went out there after the first game and just packed it and said, fuck it. We didn't get first place. Man, this shit's over. We got regular season in a couple weeks starting up. But it was just something inside me and something inside my team that said, that we weren't done yet, There was something that we still have more cheese left to eat, man. And, my main thing is, whether you're an athlete or whether you're someone out there that is passionate about cooking or whatever it is, you got to put forth 100% effort and put forth that maximum concentration. And even though, you might put 100% in, you still have to be able to accept whatever the outcomes are. Maybe you put in a little bit too much spice and it didn't work out to your favor, but for next time what you need to do. And I could have took that time and been like, damn, bro, like we didn't get first place. I didn't come through in that last clutch situation. I'm done. But here we are tomorrow. Me, Terrence, and Vincent, we're going out to the Bronx to go bowl in a tournament in New York. And that's what it's all about, man. If you get knocked off the horse, you got to find a way to pick yourself back up. And not just pick yourself back up, but stay up, And, that was a big learning experience. Never a loss. It's either you win or it's a learning experience. I took that from my boy Chris there. But, it was definitely a great learning experience for me. And, one of the things that it's kind of also brought to the fact of is like, with that, we kind of closed out the summer season and closed the chapter on that. And it kind of really brought me back to the biggest point of that, the summer really is coming to a close. I went to the beach and the water was a little bit colder than normal. The days haven't been as hot, except, maybe the last 2 days, but, pretty much you can tell that the summer's coming to a close. And, we have those things that, whether you're, going to be rejoining your full-time job if you're a teacher or someone that works in the schools, or if you've taken these vacations, most times, the end of the summer, it kind of brings that sadness, like, damn, man, like, I got to go back to it, man. And, I definitely, even when I left Myrtle Beach, it was kind of like a reminder that, summer really was coming to a close. But, and it's funny that Kenny Lou just signed on, because I'm going to bring it back to him at the end for a little bit. But, one of the things that, it kind of brought me back to, like I said, with ending the summer, was just the understanding of time, right? And, at times when I do want to, kind of be a little bit reflective and think about some of the things that are going on, I will go to this one book. And the book is called The Prophet by Khalil Gibron. If anybody doesn't know, you should definitely go read that book, especially for my people listening in that like podcasts and are very reflective and like this show as well. This book is definitely one that you're going to want to read. But in there, to kind of set the precedence, this book is kind of like each chapter represents a different theme, right? And something different. And they tell the theme through like different, I guess you could say, poetic passages per se, right? It really spoke to me because, for one thing, if somebody's trying to enlighten you or tell you something, information, it all comes in the delivery, right? If someone's talking to you like an asshole, you're probably not going to listen to them, right? So it's all in the delivery, and the way this book kind of delivers you this information just makes you think in a different light. So when I was thinking about, the end of summer, it brought me to this one quote from the book, right? And it said, "The timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream." And, what I say by that is that, like, even though, my favorite season is coming to a close in summer, there's so much to look forward to. There's so much on the horizon. I was talking to my boy Kenny Lou, and we've had all this, we have this collaboration that we've been working on feverishly with, and we've been making great headway. We can't wait to let you guys all know what it is that we're going to be doing, but we got some big things on there. We've kind of been ping-ponging ideas off each other, and it's really dope, what will be coming very soon for you all when we can tell you. But one of the things that Kenny said to me was that, they're not going to be ready for what we're going to do this fall, man. And it, like I said, it brought me back to that quote, because at the end of the day, yesterday was, what the reality was. And I've been living a great, summer of just enjoyment and doing what I want to do, going to Atlantic City, going to Myrtle Beach, enjoying life, spending time with the fam. Excuse me, but tomorrow they said, but it's the next dream, you know what I'm saying? And we're moving on to the next thing. I got so much to look forward to, even with this podcast, and just the direction I kind of want to go with that. Tim has been chefing up some new merchandise that's going to be really awesome for you all, man. So again, with certain things coming to a close, I was sad about the way things ended in the summer season. I was sad that summer is pretty much coming to a close. But there's so much on the horizon, and the timelessness will always get you through, man. And, just know that tomorrow is going to be better, and there's going to be greater things out there for you. And, sadly enough, the greatest thing tomorrow or Sunday for us is going to be the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley match. And, guys, I'm only going to say a little bit about this because I've been getting this question a little bit this week. But pretty much, it doesn't have anything to do with analysis-wise on this fight. But, people have asked me, are you tired of these gimmick fights? And I have to say this. Let's put it this way. I have no choice but to watch these gimmick fights, because at the end of the day, boxing is so corrupt that the people that we really want to see box oftentimes don't end up fighting. And now, even though Jake Paul isn't exactly my favorite guy in the world, here you have somebody that, in a world of people that want to do UFC, this man is running to boxing. So for that, I respect him. But, in the art of how we say gimmick fighting, if you want to call it, it sucks, because at the end of the day, they call boxing the sweet science for a reason. And, it's one of our oldest sports, and, definitely one that I enjoy watching. But Jake Paul and what he's done with, the whole gimmick fighting era, as you can say, it's generated a lot of publicity. It's generated people to watching boxing, bringing some attention to it. But, what good is that attention if it doesn't bring out the real fights that we want? So, am I happy that we will have a Jake Paul-Tyron Woodley fight? I guess you can say that. But I just really want the boxing world to take a look at how everybody now is fixated on these guys, and two probably not even the best boxers. There's a million different boxers out of there, especially my boy John Leonardo out there from Jersey, who's local. But we got some great boxers out here, and we're really getting robbed of being able to witness that talent. Partly because the UFC is so big, 100%. That's why. But boxing has self-inflicted their own wounds, because they haven't prioritized giving us the right fights like we wanted. We can go back to Pacquiao Mayweather, which should have happened, so much earlier in Pacquiao's prime. And if you think about it, the last fight that we got to watch was a 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao, and he lost to a fill-in. So, the state of boxing it sucks. It sucks that Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley is the best boxing match that we have to look forward to. But it's the only boxing we have to look forward to, guys. And with the sadness of that, we got to go to this drink review, right? And the drink review that I have for us today is the Corona Hard Seltzer. And it's the pineapple flavor, all right? You know what? Like I said, the thing that I think about some of these seltzers are, it all depends on how sweet it is, right? And traditionally, pineapple obviously being a sweet fruit, you think automatically that's going to be very sweet drink. It might not be too great to drink multiple of them with, but, ultimately, the one thing that I have prided Corona with, aside from all the other seltzers, is how they have had great taste and how it has been able to drink multiple of them. So, when it came down to trying the new variety pack, I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me, but a different variety pack, I was like, you know what? I can rock with the pineapple. So, here we go. I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about this pineapple Corona Extra Seltzer. Wow. I think that definitely beats White Claw. Definitely beats the Michelob, or I would have to say that might be one of the better seltzers that I've had because, again, the flavor isn't too much where it hits you in the face. It's a light pineapple, and I'd say out of a 1 to 10, I'd have to give this one a 7, strong 7 or 8. I think I'll definitely have myself drinking another one out of there, but you'll see within the next couple weeks. There are some other flavors in that variety pack which I think might beat this pineapple out. So I want to set it's a good number, 7, 8, but there's going to be some other reviews for these Coronas that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. But thank you so much again for coming in on another week. If you've tuned in from Spring Hill, Florida, I saw some people tuning in from Oklahoma as well too. I appreciate you guys so much, and even on a short week where we recorded just last Sunday and we still had over 100 downloads in less than 7 days, for that episode, it's huge, man. And for those people out there like Jeffrey's brother who don't exactly get a chance to listen in live, don't worry. I appreciate you so much, and you're able to listen in at your own leisure, and I appreciate when you do. And to those people that genuinely support the show, like my boy Brian Spawn, who tells me he listens to my podcast on his drive into work in the morning. It's that type of mentality. And someone also like Kenny Lou, who I talked about before, who's been very helpful in getting me creative and trying out different things. But he also was someone that was listening to the podcast and quoted something that I said on there. And the thing that he kept quoting when we had our last meeting as far as the collaboration, he said that one of the things that I said was you got to bet on yourself. And I say a bunch of different things in these podcasts, to try and get you guys to reflect and think about things on your own. But that was the thing that Kenny took away, is that, you got to bet on yourself. And if there's anything that you'll get out of this podcast, and just the mere existence of Talk That Talk Show, is me betting on myself. I'm betting on the fact that I'm going to invest this time, energy, whatever it takes to give you guys this episode. I'm betting on myself to deliver you all a quality podcast that you're going to tune into every single week. And time in and time again, you guys prove to me that, betting on myself has been a great decision. I want to thank my sponsors, Savion Gaynor over at Skydive Socks, Timmy Hugel over at Ink Parlor. He's helped me with Kenny Lou in our collaboration as well too. To have people that are so positive and have such a great influence on the things that you're doing, hold on to those people, man. Also want to give a big shout out to Joe Snow and Maria over at New York Life, helping people to get their financial freedom daily. Yeah, and then also we want to give a big time shout out to Jeff Galata over there at Air We Are, helping people to get their, heating, air conditioning, any type of cooling needs, hit him up, because at the end of the day, like we just talked about, the summer's going to be ending, and that AC is going to be coming out of the wall. I know my brother's probably going to be taking out the AC pretty soon, so that heating is going to have to be on point, because it might be a cold winter. So you're going to want to definitely hit up Jeff Galata and get your heating and air conditioning needs sufficed. Guys, this is the Talk That Talk Show.
Talk That Talk!
Once again, giving you the 120th episode, 120th installment. And it just seems like yesterday where we were at the 100th episode, but this train just keeps on pushing. We're going to keep going, keep providing you the most high quality service of podcasting that you can have, man. Jeffrey even put it in there. He goes, HQP, high quality podcast. I appreciate that, man. And then also we have Dutch, who commented in. He said, thanks, bro. I appreciate you so much. Much love. I'm rocking the 100th episode shirt right now. Sending a picture later. Thank you, Dutch. I appreciate you, man. It's people like him, and people like Jose, anyone that rocks the shirt, and Jeffrey as well too. And every time I see him, they got some sort of merch on. And don't forget, guys, make sure you hashtag Talk That Talk Show and message me, DM me with those pictures. I had Nicky Knight, shout out to him. He spit a freestyle in one of the OG shirts. It was amazing. So once again, guys, please, if you're wearing the shirts, make sure you hashtag us, post us in the shirts. I'm going to put you on the website, talkthattalkshow.com. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We're on every streaming platform. So please give us a subscribe. Check out the website. And for all people, stay true to yourself, man. And I promise you, each and every week, you'll have another episode of the Talk That Talk Show. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you all next week for the 121st episode of the Talk That Talk Show.